Welcome to alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. Hello Aluxers, and welcome to another exciting original video presented by alux.com. Today we're diving into the world of wine, taking a look at some of the most exclusive, expensive, and rare wines that are owned and enjoyed by billionaires who have a taste for the finer things in life. The luxury wine market has been around for centuries, as the elite of certain societies have always sought out the most exclusive wines made at the most prestigious wineries. Some billionaires consider fine wine to be like fine art. Each bottle tells a story about the year it was created, and usually the older the better. Billionaires can afford to drop thousands or even hundreds of thousands on one bottle of wine that they may never even open. Many bottles of wine are kept and displayed as a status symbol or a conversation piece, or bought as an investment. And there are a number of factors which affect the value of a certain bottle of wine. Some of the considerations that can affect the price include the cost of production, the raw materials used, how the weather affected the crops in a certain vintage year, the number of bottles produced, the reputation of the winery, public perception of the wine, and of course, the age of the wine. Wine values can also skyrocket if the wine was owned by a well-known historical figure or has an interesting history. Of course, the taste is important too, but it's sometimes far from the top of the list of considerations. If you're new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at Alux. The luxury wine market isn't going anywhere, so we know this is something that many of our Aluxers will want to know more about. With that being said, let's take a look now at the top 10 most expensive wines in the world. Number 10. Domaine de la Romanée Conti 1978 Grand Cru. Price $39,700. Domaine de la Romanée Conti, otherwise known as DRC, is a wine estate in Burgundy, France that produces some of the most expensive white and red wines in the world. The average price per bottle is $13,092. Their most expensive wine is their Grand Cru. It's been described as the purest, most aristocratic, and most intense example of Pinot Noir you could possibly imagine. In November 2013, a case of the 1978 vintage was sold for about $476,000, or $39,700 per bottle, at Christie's Hong Kong auction house. It's described as being rich, young, and untamed. Number 9. 1811 Chateau de Cam. Price $100,000. In 2011, a bottle of 1811 Chateau de Cam became the world's most valuable bottle of white wine when it was sold for £75,000, or around $100,000 US. This set a Guinness World Record at the time, and this wine has been celebrated as one of the greatest wines in the history of Bordeaux. The 200-year-old bottle of wine came with a record of inspection that ensured its authenticity. Number 8. Chateau Lafite, 1865. Price $111,625. The Chateau Lafite Rothschild is a wine estate in France that has been owned by members of the Rothschild family since the 19th century. The average price of a bottle from this estate is $911, but the Chateau Lafite 1865 is one of their most expensive wines with a cost of around $4,650 per glass. Each bottle is 750 milliliters and is authenticated to be around 150 years old. In 2006, someone bought a bottle of this expensive red wine over the phone from Sotheby's auction house for the incredible price of $111,625. Number 7. Chateau Lafite 1787. Price $156,450. Number 7 is another vintage from the famed Chateau Lafite. A bottle of the Chateau Lafite 1787 was discovered in a cellar in Paris about 200 years after it was bottled. It was said to be owned by the third U.S. President, Thomas Jefferson, and his initials were etched into the bottle. Publishing mogul Malcolm Jones bought the bottle in 1985 for $156,450. He placed it in a display case under halogen spotlights. Unfortunately, the hot lights caused the cork to dry out, and it eventually dropped in the bottle, dropping the value of the wine down to zero. Number 6. Ampoule from Penfolds. Price $168,000. Ampoule from Penfolds is a unique wine offered by Australian wine producer Penfolds, which was founded in Adelaide in 1844. It was the most expensive wine in the world in 2012 at $168,000 per bottle. The 2004 Calimna Block 42 Cabernet Sauvignon wine is encased in a glass sculpture that was hand-blown by Nick Mount, an internationally recognized glass artist. It is also suspended in a handmade Jarrah cabinet. There is no cork or opening, so the only way to access the wine is to break the container. When the decision is made to open the ampoule, a senior member of the Penfolds winemaking team will personally attend a special opening ceremony at the location of the owner's choosing in order to professionally break the ampoule. Only 12 of these vessels are in existence. Number 5. Chateau Margaux, 2009 Balthasar. Price $195,000. Chateau Margaux is one of the most prestigious wineries in the world. Located in Bordeaux, France, its wines are consistently in demand by those with the most refined taste in wine who can afford to indulge. The Chateau Margaux 2009 Balthasar, in particular, is one of the most exclusive wines offered by the vineyard. Only 6 bottles were made at a cost of $195,000 for a 12-liter bottle. 3 of the bottles were sold at La Closse, a wine merchant who is based out of the Dubai International Airport. It is made with 87% Cabernet Sauvignon grapes, with the rest being comprised of Merlot, with small amounts of Cabernet Franc and Petit Verdot. There is no other wine as young as this one that has commanded such a high price. And if you think these prices are expensive, you should check out our most expensive alcoholic drinks video by clicking in the top right corner. Number 4. Chateau Margaux 1787. Price $225,000. Next on the list is another from Chateau Margaux. The Chateau Margaux 1787 was authenticated as part of Thomas Jefferson's wine collection, but like the other wines supposedly owned by Jefferson on this list, it met a tragic end. Its owner, William Solokin, bought the bottle for $225,000. He then took it to a special dinner at a Four Seasons hotel to celebrate the wine. Unfortunately, a waiter accidentally bumped into the table and the wine fell and shattered. The good news is, the wine was insured, but obviously no amount of money could replace this one-of-a-kind bottle of wine. Number 3. Cheval Blanc, 1947. Price $304,375. The 1947 Chateau Cheval Blanc is considered by many connoisseurs to be the best Bordeaux ever made by one of the most prestigious winemakers in the world. Apparently, the beauty of this wine is in its flaws, as the year it was produced was characterized by very bad weather, which forced the makers to produce it under very primitive conditions with many technical flaws. This gave it a taste that could never be replicated, and some are willing to pay a very high price to get their hands on this vintage. A bottle sold at Christie's auction for $304,375 back in 2010, a world record price. Number 2. 1945 Jeroboam of Chateau Mouton Rothschild, price $310,700. The Chateau Mouton Rothschild is yet another wine estate that was established by a member of the Rothschild family back in 1853. Today, their wines are among the most valuable in the world, but perhaps their most desirable wine is the 1945 Jeroboam of Chateau Mouton Rothschild. This vintage had a V on the label that stood for the victory of the Allied forces in World War II. It smells of mint, vanilla, dry green moss, and pine needles, and it tastes of raspberry and sweet dried cherries. A standard 750 milliliter bottle costs $310,700, which makes it $8,631 per glass. If you've never heard of the Rothschild name before, you might want to check out our dedicated video on the family that could be the richest in the world by clicking in the top right corner. Number 1. Screaming Eagle Cabernet Sauvignon, 1992. Price $500,000. This is it. The most expensive wine in the world is the Screaming Eagle Cabernet Sauvignon 1992, which sold for a staggering $500,000 at an auction in 2000. The most expensive wine ever sold to date was produced at the Screaming Eagle Winery in Oakville, California. The wines produced here are so limited in production and priced so high that they are considered cult wines, which are wines that dedicated groups of committed enthusiasts are willing to pay large sums of money for. And this is certainly the case for the Screaming Eagle Cabernet Sauvignon Vintage 1992. The wine is aged in 60% new oak and is purple in color. It has an aroma of jammy black currants with subtle traces of oak. And there you have it, the top 10 most expensive wines in the world to give you a taste of the indulgent luxury you can experience once you reach that billionaire goal. So, do you see wine collecting in your future? And would you rather drink expensive wines or hold on to them as an investment? Let us know what you think in the comments. And thanks for sticking around. Here's a special bonus fact for staying with us until the very end. In 2008, Prince Charles had his Aston Martin converted to run on 100% biofuel that is made from surplus wine. The Aston Martin was a gift to Prince Charles for his 21st birthday, given to him by Queen Elizabeth, and now it burns 4.5 bottles of wine per mile. The wine is sourced from a current vintage that remains after the English wine producers reached the EU limit for annual wine production. Thank you for spending some time with us, A-Luxer. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. If you want more, we handpicked these videos you might enjoy, or head over to alux.com for the best in fine living content on the planet. Be a part of the largest community of luxury enthusiasts in the world and tell your story.